All right, hi everybody. My name is Alan, and welcome to the first video on my YouTube channel, Let's Talk Metal. I'm doing this channel just as a fun side project. I've noticed there's been a lot of really cool and interesting heavy metal content on YouTube in recent months from different vinyl collectors and heavy metal enthusiasts. So I thought I'd give it a shot myself and see if I could make some videos that people might find fun and or entertaining. So a couple of weeks ago, I was on a live stream over on the YouTube channel Maze of Torment, run by Devin, and we got to talking about some of the different colored vinyl versions of records that had been put out back during the new wave of British heavy metal. And some of the other YouTubers mentioned that they had never heard of some of these records. So I thought, oh, that's interesting. That might make a really cool subject for my first video. So that's what I want to talk about today, are some of the many colors of Neat Records. Neat Records was, of course, one of the seminal record labels during the new wave of British heavy metal. Most of their records were made on black vinyl, but there were some that got some alternate pressings on different colors of vinyl. So that's what we'll take a look at. Now, before I get going, a couple of things I want to point out here also are that the colored vinyl versions of these records tend to be very rare. They're hard to find. And when you do find them, they are pretty expensive. So these are not easy things to track down and collect. I also want to make it very clear that no, I do not own most of these records. They're a bit out of my league for the most part. Without further ado, let's see what things Neat pressed on different colors of vinyl. All right, the first one to mention is the 7-inch single by Bitches Sin called Always Ready for Love. This one did come on yellow vinyl. Now, I'm kind of starting out on the wrong foot here a little bit because I'm supposed to be showing you pictures of colored vinyl, and I cannot find a picture of this record on yellow vinyl to save my life. I have looked all over the internet. I've gone through my personal collection of pictures and photos, and I just don't have one available. I do know that the record exists on yellow vinyl. I have seen it before, so everything I mentioned today are things I know for certain do exist. But unfortunately on this one, I just can't find a picture to show you. So not a great start here. Womp womp. Let's move on to something that I can show you a picture of that's also on yellow vinyl. The Fist LP, Back with a Vengeance. It's well known to new wave of British heavy metal fans. And it did come on yellow vinyl, which looks really cool, in my opinion. But let's move on to some others as well. This is a killer album by Jaguar called Power Games. And this one came on purple vinyl, which looks really nice. So if you're a big Jaguar fan, they were one of the early bands helping establish the sort of speed, power, and thrash metal genres. You can track this down on purple vinyl. Another nice looking record on purple vinyl from Neat is the 12-inch EP Green Eyes by a killer band called Crucifixion. They're one of my favorite bands from the new wave of British heavy metal. They did a lot of really great tracks. The EP here, it looks great on purple vinyl. Now, there have also been reports about this having been made on green vinyl. In particular, this came up in a book published in the mid-90s called Heavy Metal, The Vinyl Years. It was published by John Allinson, who was a longtime heavy metal collector and also a record dealer. And in the book, under the Crucifixion entry, he lists this record as having been made on black, purple, and on green vinyl. I've been looking for a copy on green vinyl ever since that book was released, and I've never seen a copy turn up anywhere. I've never found a confirmed sighting of the record on green vinyl. So after 20 plus years of looking for it, checking eBay, PopSite, Discogs, talking to other collectors, I'm ready to say that the record doesn't really exist and that it was just a typo in John's book. It's sad because Green Eyes definitely should have come on green vinyl. It's kind of a flavor fail that they didn't do that. And if somebody out there knows for certain it does exist and has pictures they can share, I'd love to see it. I've been looking for that record for over 2 decades, and I've never seen a copy on green vinyl. All right, let's move on to Raven. This is one of the more popular bands that recorded on Neat Records, well known to lots of metal fans. And a couple of their things got put out on colored vinyl. This is the Crash Bang Wallop 12-inch, and it did come on purple vinyl. Now, I've also seen listings of this record where it's described as being on maroon vinyl or even maroon marbled vinyl. Whether those are three different pressings that are supposed to represent three different things is open to debate. In my opinion, those are just variations on the purple vinyl that some people might call it maroon, others call it purple. And the marbling is just when you have different amounts of black vinyl dye that started to get mixed into the batch. So I would consider this just all one variation, but some people might consider it slightly different variations. Crash Bang Wallop came on another color of vinyl. It was also pressed on this kind of yellow-greenish vinyl shown here. Now this one, I've definitely seen pictures where it looks very yellow, and I've seen pictures of other copies where it looks very green. And this one kind of looks in between. In this case, I don't know if those are supposed to represent different batches that were made with different dyes. It could also just be a matter of lighting in some cases. Something you have to keep in mind with these old colored vinyl records is that the lighting where the picture is taken is really, really critical to what it's going to look like. You can take a picture of a record under natural light and it will appear to be one shade. And you take that same record inside and take a picture under a fluorescent light and it can appear to be a slightly different shade. I don't know if that's the case with the Raven 12-inch here or not. You can see this copy also has some black marbling in it. That may be affecting the shade a little bit. So a good take-home message for anybody who's interested in one of these and really wants to track them down, always make sure you ask the seller for pictures under different lighting so you can see what shade it appears to be to you. They may be describing something as green and you think, oh wow, that's a variant I don't have. But then when you get it, it might appear more yellow, and that might not be the version you're trying to collect. So be very mindful of that if you try to track some of these things down. All right, another Raven record also got put out on some colored vinyl. The Wiped Out album came on purple vinyl, as you see here, and it also came on yellow vinyl. So if you're a true Raven wacko and want to collect everything, you have some pretty neat looking versions that you can track down. And yes, the bad puns are totally intentional. Okay, we've got one last band to talk about, and it's going to be a doozy. It is the almighty Venom. Now, Venom's early vinyl catalog is notorious for having all kinds of different variations in it. You have picture discs, shaped picture discs, 12-inch versions, 7-inch versions, all kinds of weird stuff. You can go very deep down a rabbit hole chasing different versions of these early Venom records. So let's check out which ones were made on different colors of vinyl. Up first, we have my favorite single by the band. It's the Bloodlust 7-inch, and this one did come on purple vinyl. Another 7-inch from Venom that came on colored vinyl is the Warhead 7-inch. Now, the three pictures here show the three different versions of the picture sleeve. In each case, a different band member's face was rotated front and center. So there are three different versions of the sleeve to get, and all of these could be found on black vinyl, and all three could also be found on blue vinyl. Personally, I think the blue vinyl looks really, really cool on these. And it's also very hard to track these down on blue vinyl. Some other Venom items also came on blue vinyl. The 12-inch version of the Warhead EP comes on blue vinyl. And also the Possessed LP comes on blue vinyl. Now, the Possessed album is generally not considered one of the band's stronger offerings. Most people feel they were sort of on the decline by the time this album came out. But if you're a Venom completist or you just happen to really like this album, hey, that's cool. You can track down this rare version on blue vinyl if you like it. All right, let's move on to those first two albums, the seminal Venom albums that everybody knows and loves. Both of those came on multiple colors of vinyl. So here we see their first album, Welcome to Hell, and it did come on purple vinyl. And it also came on brown vinyl. Now, this is admittedly not the best picture, but I think you can see, as they're holding it up to the light, that it is kind of a weird shade of brown rather than just black vinyl. I have from time to time heard mention of copies of Welcome to Hell being on green vinyl. I've never seen a copy that's like on bright, solid green vinyl, and I think people are referring to this brown vinyl version. It's sort of an odd shade, and I think some people might interpret this as being sort of a weird swamp thing kind of green, almost a mossy green color to it, especially if you hold it up under different types of light. So maybe there really is a green version out there, and I've just never came across it, but it may just be referring to this brown vinyl version, which certainly does exist. So those are the versions you can get for Welcome to Hell. Now, moving on to the black metal album. This one has the most different color variations of anything that Neat Records put out, at least to my knowledge. The first one shown here is the gray vinyl version. This is the most commonly the most commonly seen version of black metal once you get into the colored vinyl versions. Looks really good. Most of the gray copies are heavily marbled, like the picture shown here. Quick thing to point out is that these early Venom records can also come with different label variations. On black metal, as you can see, you can get the center label can have either a white face on it or a red face on it. Also, the Neat Records logo on the flip side can come in different colors. And this is true also on the Welcome to Hell album, that the logo can be done in red or in blue or green or silver. I have never been able to find an explanation of what those different color variations meant. I don't know if they represent different pressings, as Neat Records had to keep making more copies of the album to meet demand and it would sell out and they'd have to press more. I don't know if it was tied to different pressing plants. I have no idea how many pressing plants they would have been using to make Venom vinyl. I guess in theory they could have had several plants, each with its own color label. I don't know. So if anyone has any information about that, again, please leave a message in the comments below. I would love to know why different copies have that different colored font on the label side. So anyway, back to the colors of vinyl. The gray looks really good in my opinion, but if it's not your thing, you could also get this one on green vinyl. This is another item that people note as having different shades of green. The one on the left here is referred to as more of a dark green variation. The one on the right is more of a light or lime green variation. Again, I don't know whether this represents different types of dye that were really used or if these are just slight variations on green. The lighting in these pictures is obviously very different. One's being held up to a window and one's being put on a table and taken a picture of with just an overhead light. The one on the right also has a lot more black marbled into it that might be affecting the color. So yeah, if you're a real Venom diehard and want to try to collect everything, I guess you could treat these as different variations. Some people might just say that they are both versions of the green vinyl copy though. Okay, next we've got a really fun one. Turns out that black metal was also pressed on pink vinyl. And yes, that is a real thing. Let's face it, there's some serious My Little Pony stuff going on in this picture, but it looks kind of neat. It's just funny to think that the original black metal record, the one that spawned an entire genre of music, came on Pinkie Pie style vinyl once upon a time. Personally, I think it looks pretty neat. To my knowledge, it's also one of the much harder to find versions of black metal. If you're not into the pink vinyl, there are still other versions you can look for. This one did come on brown vinyl as well. And again, the two pictures here show you that you can also get it with the two different versions of that center label. You might want brown vinyl with the white face sticker and brown vinyl with the red face sticker. There's even another weird variation that comes up on the brown vinyl copies. Some copies on brown vinyl have the A side of Welcome to Hell pressed on one side and the A side of black metal pressed on the other side, so that when you go to play the record, you really only have half of the black metal album, and on the opposite side, you've got half of the Welcome to Hell album. It's a really weird mispressing, but it just shows again how deep you can go trying to get different versions of some of this early Venom vinyl. Okay, last one on black metal here is the red vinyl variation. Now, this one, in my opinion, it looks much more metal than the pink or the brown versions. It looks really, really sharp on the red vinyl. But this is also reportedly one of the much rarer versions that turns up a lot less than, say, the gray version does. All right, so that's a quick run through of all the colored vinyl that Neat Records put out that I'm aware of. But again, I'm not claiming this is a complete list. There could easily be some things out there I have forgotten about or never even seen. So what did I miss? Let's keep talking metal down in the comments below. Leave a message and let me know, what things did I forget to add to the list here? What things am I unaware of that I'd love to learn about? Leave a message if you have any information about things that should have been on this video and weren't. Before I wrap up, just want to give a few quick shout outs to some other YouTube channels. The Marty Worm channel. This is run by Marty, who's the fellow behind Bind Room Recordings. He's got a lot of cool video content up, so you can check out both the Marty Worm channel and also the Bind Room Recordings channel. Want to say hello to the Maze of Torment channel. That's run by Devin, and I want to say thank you to Devin for having me on a couple of his live streams over the past couple of weeks. It's been really fun getting to chat with him and his other guests. A big hello to Ken over at Ken's Death Metal Crypt. Ken has an almost encyclopedic knowledge of heavy metal, and not just death metal. His knowledge of 80s metal runs really, really deep, and he has a tremendous collection of vinyl, CDs, and tapes. If you haven't checked out his channel, you should definitely do so. There's tons of cool content over there. And last but not least, I want to say hi to Jeff. That's Metal Madness 66. He's working on his own YouTube channel, and hopefully we'll have some cool videos for everybody to check out pretty soon. All right, with that, I have rambled on long enough. So let's wrap up this video, and then let's keep talking metal in the comments below.